Hi everyone, welcome back to the Wow Embossing YouTube channel. I'm Jane and today I'm going to be exploring embossing by playing with some of the puff embossing powders. So recently Wow brought out a new quad and it's called the Fruit Puffs quad. So I don't know if you've played with any of these puff powders before. These are completely new to me. They're different to normal embossing powders in that quite often when you get an embossing powder, it goes on looking quite matte, and then when you heat emboss it, it becomes glossy. Well, puff powders are the opposite. When you sprinkle the powder over, it just looks like a regular embossing powder, and then when you heat them up, they become matte, but also they puff up and give you this really lovely 3D textured finish. So the new quad has got 4 citrusy colours in, and I've cut 4 3-inch squares which I'm going to be heat embossing with each of the colours. So I've just grabbed some scrap paper, and what you've seen me do is press each of those squares into my embossing ink pad. So I've got some good coverage all over that square. Then I'm pouring over the embossing powder and I'm just tapping off the excess onto my scrap paper, which I will then pour back into the jar to save for later. So you can see as I'm heating up this embossing powder that it's going from that powdery finish to a textured, bumpy, puffed up powder, which is absolutely lovely and so different. So the first one was bilberry. This one is cucumber puff, and you can see the same thing happening again with this one. As you heat it up, it becomes 3D and textured. This one is the banana puff. And then finally we've got watermelon puff. So I've heat embossed each of those 3-inch squares now. So I guess most people when they see those colours will probably think of the fruits that they were named after, but no, my mind went to Harry Potter, of course. So I thought, yeah, those colours look just like Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff. So what I've done is I have stamped, fussy cut and coloured in these little characters from the greeting farm, and I've coloured them to match their house colours. So now what I'm going to do is create a little shield or like a house crest for each of the characters, and I've just drawn this one freehand. I'm not an artist, so I just kept this simple. I got a 3-inch square piece of card, folded it in half, and I drew half of the shield on one side, with the centre of the shield being where the crease was in the card. So I then cut it out, and then when you fold the card back outwards again, you know it's going to be symmetrical on each side. But if you're not comfortable with freehand drawing, you could always find a shield shape online and print it off and trace it, or if you've got something like a cricket, then you could see whether you could find an SVG file and you could die cut it that way. So I've just traced around the shield shape on the back of one of my squares, and I'm just cutting that out with scissors. And then I'm just checking to make sure that my character fits nicely onto the shield, which he does. So I'm going to repeat the process and do the same thing with all 4 colours. So I've got the 4 house crests there. Apologies for the soft drink in the corner of the screen. That's how I roll. That is my one vice. I do like a nice soft drink. So I have now cut out some more 3-inch squares. I've done 2 in white and 2 in black. And I'm going to apply them to a 6-inch square card base using some double-sided tape. So I'm popping that all around the edges of my card, and then I'm also going to put it down the centre, both horizontally and vertically, to make sure that when I put those squares down, all 4 sides of them will be stuck down by the tape. So I thought it would be nice, rather than just having a white background, to have a bit of contrast with the black and the white squares next to each other in the background. I also thought it reminded me a little bit of the game of Wizard's Chess that they infamously play in the first Harry Potter film. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, you will get that reference. And if you are a Harry Potter fan, by the way, let me know which house you would be. I am a proud Hufflepuff. So leave me a note in the comments and let me know which Hogwarts house you would be in. So I'm just popping each of my crests now onto the background using some foam squares. So I have got my blue bilberry or Ravenclaw shield going in the bottom right, and then I'm moving on to do all of the other 4 colours. So I've got watermelon, banana puff, cucumber and bilberry. So I'm just going to add my characters on to those shields now. Again, I'm just using some foam tape to do that. I love a lot of dimension, and this card certainly has got a lot of dimension and texture. What I would do again in the future though, if I was remaking this, is pop a little bit of liquid glue on the back of those foam tape strips, and because that would just help them adhere to those shields a little bit more. With all the texture that's going on in the shields, and the foam tape did have a little bit of a hard time sticking down. I am just making my sentiment now to finish off this card. I've dusted it with a bit of anti-static powder, just in case any of the oils and things from my fingers have got onto the card. And I have conditioned my stamp, because I've not used it before, just by rubbing my thumb over the stamp, and that just takes off some of that sticky residue you get with brand new stamps, and it helps them accept ink a bit better. So I have stamped this with my embossing ink, and now I'm just applying some of my superfine bright white embossing powder, which is fantastic for getting all of those little details on the sentiment. I'm just tapping my excess back off into the jar, and let me tell you, this tub of white embossing powder has lasted me literally for years, and I've still got plenty left. So I've just melted it with my heat tool, and then I am going to fussy cut the sentiment because I don't have any coordinating dies for this set. So for fussy cutting, I just take my time. I've got a small pair of very sharp scissors. There are 2 pairs that I like to use, either these X-Cut scissors or the Cutter Bee scissors, and I'll link both of those below in case you're interested. So just take your time, move the card rather than the scissors, and just leave that small border that you would get if you were using a coordinating die, and that just makes it look really sharp and finished. So I'm popping the sentiment up with some foam strips, and I love these because you can cut them down and just get into all of the little nooks and crannies of that sentiment, so none of it will get squashed down. And then I'm just placing that in the centre to finish off my card. So yeah, that about finishes my card for today. I hope you've enjoyed having a look at these new fruit puffs. They are so fun to play with, so I will certainly be thinking of what else I can use them for. If you would like a tutorial on how I coloured each of the characters, because I've used different Copic colours for all of the skin tones and the hair, then that will be over on my YouTube channel, so I'll pop a link to that here as well. So it'd be great if I could see you over there as well. But until next time, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.